Alright, this is a little video called Strolling Under the Skin, and it's about connective tissue and about vascularization and so forth, things that they never realized before, and they're starting to look at and study a little better. Now, mud fossils is not just about dirt and rocks and things in the woods. This is anatomy, and it's extremely specific, and they had a lot of studies to do with anatomy. And I worked with Gil Hedley, who is one of the world's famous anatomists, and he goes all around the world teaching anatomy and autopsies. And it's absolutely fascinating. And the depth of the knowledge that he has was absolutely required. And I want to show you a couple things, and then I'm going to show you why I say that the stones at Baalbek are tendinous material. All right. Now, as we come out to here, let's come out to where it starts to get interesting. Let's go right about here. Now, what they're going to do is talk about, they're transplanting tendons, and in the process of doing this, they realized the intricacy and so forth. Now, listen to this.
Relationships between the tendons, the sliding sheaths, and the vessels.
There's the sheaths.
And to challenge the very foundations of the classical school of thought.
Now, look at this. This is what I want you to see. You see that? Hold on a second. Now, this is a flexible tendon. At this point, it's just been removed from the body, and before they even squeeze it, no blood comes out here. What it's showing you here is that right in this area, there's these tiny little vascularizations. Let's come back here. Now watch when it comes
Challenge
off.
The very foundations of the classical school of thought.
Okay, see it? You see it start to leak out of here? This is all floppy and gooey now. But when they set up in the body, they turn into squares. They turn into solid squares, and that's what you see at Lebanon, and that's what you see at the Baalbek Stones, and they have this little bloody vascularization around here, and you can see this, and there's just virtually no question what they are. And around the outside of them will be that vascular stuff that they showed here. All of this, well, you'll see it in a minute here. Let's follow this a little further, because it's very, very fascinating.
On the relationships between the tendons, the sliding sheaths, and the vessels.
This sheath slides around that, and that's how they can move in the body.
During the revascularization following the release of agarite, we observed that not only the tendinous extremities bled with an apparently circular longitudinal and peripheral vascularization.
Now, you see this part in here? That's what turns square. Hold on. You see these stripes coming down here? Whoops, hold on.
The greater the longitude of our vessel, whose bump is
I'm not
slowly
good at
receding
this.
as the
See these stripes?
maximum.
Those are the boards. They're literally boards, and they turn into squares. I'm telling you, that's just the way it is. And where these meet, the gooey stuff in your body, it's called an abrupt transition, and it stops just like you draw a line, and it turns into real gooey red stuff. Alright, this one here is just, it says YouTube, Megalithic Enigmas of Baalbek. You see on the end here? You see right there? That's vascular, that's blood supply. That can be checked very easy. You see this red stuff? That didn't just fall out of there for no reason. That is blood. This is a tendon enthesis point. And I'm going to show you another one that'll blow your mind. Hold on a second. And they have the blood. The blood is around them. And where they slide inside your body, it has to be lubricated with that bloody slimy stuff. Very thin, but it's there. Hold on a second. Alright, this is, I'm showing some features that are on Comet 67P. You see these little circles? You see this here? Notice and you see those little stripes in them and so forth. This is where you start to build your tendons. Alright, and they will come out here, and they literally turn into boards, and then you get that abrupt transition. Now, that same exact feature is on Comet 67P. I showed you those little circles. You see that? It's right there. When I home in there, look at it. Whoops, hold on. You see it? Exact same structure. Exact same structure. Hold on, did you see what it was like over here? You see them? You see little circles, and then you have those bands, and then I come over here and I show you in over here. There they are right there. There's those circles, and here's those bands. Now, I have the same thing in the rocks that I have. This is the rock that I have right here. Now, this is your tendon as it starts to come out down this band. And I'm going to start to go down that structure and show you. Now watch, I'm going to move it down. It's kind of hard to do this, but you'll see it move. Now, you see the little stripes here and the bands? You see these little fluting little things? Remember that, because I'm going to show you something that'll blow your mind shortly. And there's that abrupt transition. There's those boards. This is a goopy, and it'll break right there, just like it broke off. It's just phenomenal. And you see this? Remember these little stripy things, because I'm going to show you something that's going to prove to you that they were here not long ago, and it was right after the flood, and there was giant creatures on the earth, and these tendon enthesis points were driven over by a vehicle, and I can show you that, and I will in a second. Well, just so you understand how that this is a muscle, because maybe you won't believe it, I'm going to run down here a little further. Whoops. I'm going to go down here a little further, and we're still on this abrupt transition. And we're going to come down here. Let's play it down. We're on the abrupt transition, and we're going to move this way. And you see this? These are vascular. This is vascular. You see this red stuff? That's blood. This is blood. And the blood supplies this. And that blood is what you saw leaking out of the original thing I showed you. Hold on a second. Let me back that up. One here. Here, we're going to go from here. Let it just play. Here, I'm following you over. Now we go into the muscle. Here's the muscle. I mean, this is exactly what a muscle is, and it's because it is a muscle. And you see that white stuff? That is still some more mineralized stuff that's in, because that's what is the tough stuff. And then as you get out here, the muscle breaks right off and it's gone, and it was never going to be retrieved again. Because there's like a transition from, as this minerally-ish looking stuff, you see these? Those are blood supplies, and then it breaks off right at the end. It just doesn't, there's like transitional places that this happens. You see how it starts to transition and snap right off at the end. Anyway, this that's a mud fossil. All right, this is a picture from ancient-code.com. It's on the internet, on Google. And you see this stone here? That is a tendon. Piece of tendon, just like I showed you before, only it's from a giant. You see this end piece? Nobody carved that. It just fell off from above. Boom. You see all that red stuff back there? That's just not there for no reason. That's because that was holding this thing up. It was sticking up and it just fell over. And they're all the same way. Look at this one up here. Same thing. You see this? Here they are right here in the background. They're all over the place. They were just sticking out of here and they're just taking them away. You see this red stuff? That red stuff didn't get here for no reason. That red stuff is the synovial sheathing that runs around those that you saw in that video. They come out square. I don't know why they turn square when they harden up, but maybe it's got something to do with the crystalline structure in the metals that are in it. And it probably likely is. Now I'm going to show you another one that shows you the vascularization on the end. Hold on a second. Alright, it doesn't get any clearer than this. You saw what a tendon looks like, and you saw that little stripy looking stuff that ran across those tendons. And this is a tendon. There's absolutely zero question about it. It is a tendon. And this red stuff down here is that slurpy. They call it small leucine-rich proteins, I think. But it's basically, it's that synovial blood sheathing area that lets this thing slide. This, now, here's the smoker. Listen to this carefully. You see those lines running through that? You saw it is identical, I showed you. Now, here is the smoking gun. You see this? If you look at this carefully, that is one of those monster truck tires. You see the way it scoops and it scoops and it scoops and it scoops and it scoops? You see the width of it? That guy drove that tire right up here over the top of that tendon, and guess what? That tendon was wet when he did it. That tendon had not solidified. Because once these tendons solidified, they are as hard as glass. So they came down, did reconnaissance right after the flood, drove over these tendons. And that tendon is not from any little tiny thing either. It's not as big as the one at Baalbek. But Baalbek is not an exception. They are huge, huge thing. Well, Baalbek might be an exception, but they're all over. They're all over, and they're just not looked at, and they're laughed at, and they're not considered anything. As a matter of fact, the foliations of the earth are identical to all the patterns of life. The muscle structure, the tendon structure, they even call them by the same name, sinuous structure, all this stuff. It's just not, it's just too much for anybody's mind to allow them to take it in. It's just too much. And I understand that. But the chemistry will not allow you to do anything else. You have to deal with the chemistry. The chemistry is not deniable. So that's all I'm saying. It's not deniable. It should be looked at. Then we look at it and we go from there. Maybe I'm nuts, but I don't think so.